And we jump into our first interview for Weekend Express. I have Jamata with me. Jamata, she is a singer, she is an actress, she is a model as well. And this is what she recently represented Kenya in the Miss Tourism International Queen Pageant. She won the title Miss Popularity. And we're going to talk to her and get to know more about her and her foundation. It's so good to have you here with us, Jamata.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. So introduce yourself to Kenyans. Who is Jamata?
So my name is Jackie Wanjiru Nuzor, but my artist name is Jamata. I'm a singer, I'm an actor, and I'm also a model. Previously, I did quality assurance and performance improvement in the States. I've been living there for about 20 years. So I'm here to work on my brand as well as my foundation.
All right, so take me back to when perhaps you were a bit younger, when you were still a child. Is this something that you always wanted to do?
Actually, I always liked singing. I love to sing.
Right.
Acting, I stumbled on it along the way.
And beauty, being in the pageant world?
No. I never even envisioned myself doing this.
Right.
But it was a process of self-love and getting to a place where you want to inspire and change other people's lives. That led me to that, I should say. Yeah.
Tell me about okay, so singer and actor, and you stumbled into that. You wear quite a number of hats, and now Miss Popularity under Miss Tourism International Kenya. How did you find yourself under that title?
So I came on vacation as well as working on my brand. It was sometime towards the end of July.
Right.
And there was a submission that needed to be done online for people who are models. You have to also be married. So I thought, you know, there's nothing that I'm busy doing.
Marriage is a requirement?
Yes, because it's a Mrs. title.
Okay.
So I figured, well, I'm not really doing anything. I'm in Kenya, so I might as well just do my submissions. And I did. And after they did the eliminations and all of that, I was informed that they had chosen me to represent Kenya.
Wow.
So it was an exciting
So what does that mean? How do you represent Kenya when you have the title Miss Popularity?
So Miss Popularity did not happen until I went to Malaysia.
Right.
I was just representing Kenya as just the representative of Kenya. That's it.
That's okay.
The title itself was Mrs. Tourism Queen International.
Right.
So I didn't win that title. However, there were other subtitles that were up for grabs. And what I ended up winning was Mrs. Popularity.
So what does that mean?
So that means there are a lot of things that go into that. Personality, your attitude, how well you also work with other people.
Right.
And then people decide whether it's the organizers or the people, the other pageant participants. Just a whole bunch of people decide who falls into that category. And
does that mean you also get a chance to work with the other ladies who won the other pageants, and as well as the pageant itself, Miss Tourism Kenya?
I actually could if I chose to, but it's not like I had to. It's different if I had won the title itself.
Right.
Then it means you represent your country as far as tourism is concerned, but also the host country.
All right, so if Jamata was not a singer and actor and also now Miss Popularity, what would you be doing?
I would probably still be doing quality assurance and performance improvement in healthcare.
Right.
I
it's
still
something
have a
that
passion.
you are passionate about?
Yes. Well, healthcare is my background. Nursing is what I have always done, nursing leadership.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm educated and trained in that. I have a lot of experience in it. It's something that I would also like to bring into this country. However, certain things and regulations have to be in place for it to work as far as our healthcare facilities, especially with the thing that happened at Pumwani recently. I think if they have a quality assurance and performance improvement division, that's something that probably would not happen.
What inspires you?
Well, the will to live and change people's lives every day makes me wake up every day and want to be here. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your foundation. Tell me what you do about it. What does it do? What does it seek to do?
So just a little background. As a young girl at 3 and also as a teenager, I was raped. And so without giving the long story because of time, my foundation basically caters for adolescents who have experienced rape, but also violence in the home. A lot of people have the thought or school of thought that the people who are, experiencing violence are like the wives and stuff like that. But there's a lot of violence happening in homes as far as, relatives, other relatives are concerned. So my foundation just seeks to provide a safe haven for adolescents, a place where you can also come and talk about it, because a lot of people who are abused do not talk about it. The abusers put them in a position where they're in fear and they will not discuss that. And also, if you get pregnant as a teenager, I was a teenage mother, just know that life is not, that's not the end of life. It provides a place for you to know that you can continue, whether it's school, get a job, still be a productive person in life.
So your foundation comes from a personal point at 3
Yes,
years old?
Very, very personal. Yes.
At 3 years old?
Yes.
How did you heal through that?
I actually didn't deal with it until I was 29.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but I was also fortunate enough to be in a country where, you know, we have therapies and stuff, you know, stuff like that that's available. We have those resources.
Counseling.
Yes.
Something that is perhaps missing here in Kenya in great, well, it's here in Kenya, but it's not as perhaps in-depth as you'd want it to be compared to America, where you grew up.
Yes, but also the accessibility. It might be here, but not everyone is able to access it. It might be finances. It might be how many of them are available. So I was just fortunate to be in a place where I could access those services.
So it's not until, okay, so it happens at 3 years old and you come to terms with it at 29 years old?
At 29.
At 29 years old?
Yes.
Through counseling?
Yes.
How did counseling help you? How long did that counseling process take?
Well, that was 10 years ago, and it took about 5 years. Mm-hmm. So by the time I was 35, I had actually healed and was in a nice place. I can now discuss it and not have a pity party or cry or something like that. And that's when, you know, healing has taken place.
So perhaps for women who are watching, and even men who have been in that scenario where you are raped or where you've been violently abused at such a young age, and they're still sort of keeping it in, they haven't come to terms with it, they haven't, what you're saying, you know, talked about it. Now you are able to confidently talk about it. It's now born your foundation. Yes. Why is it so important for them to start talking about it? Why is it so important for them to start healing through it?
Growth cannot happen when you haven't healed.
Right.
And that means that you're accepting even the bad things that have happened in your life. You just have to change the way you think and look at those things. You can always change your narrative. We have the advantage as human beings of being able to be in control of our minds and what our destinies are. So unless you change your way of thinking, your narrative is never going to change. So I think that that's what people need to start doing. Unfortunately, in this society, it's almost taboo to discuss certain things. So it's a conversation in education that needs to happen so people can be okay with it. However, in order to do that, and I'm speaking from a victim position, not right now, but at the time, you have to be in a space that you feel you're safe enough to discuss it.
Jamata, at 3 years old,
yes,
did you have a chance to talk to someone about it? Perhaps an older sibling, perhaps a parent, perhaps a cousin? That everyone has that one favorite cousin. Did you a best friend? Did you open up to anyone?
At 3, in retrospect, I couldn't have done anything different, I don't think, because the abuser puts fear in you. So you probably will not discuss it at 3.
And at 3, you're pretty young. You don't even know what's happening then.
Yes.
When did you come to realization that, oh my goodness, what happened to me at 3 years old was abuse? Because I can imagine at 3, like you said, you still can't comprehend everything that is happening with you. 3 years old, someone is pretty young.
Yeah.
When did it hit you? When did you realize, oh boy, what happened to me at 3 years old was X, Y, Z?
So it just didn't happen at 3 and that was it. It was 3 and then a couple of years also, because at the time we were in Uganda.
Right.
So by the time we came to Kenya and I was a teenager, and it happened again as a teenager, I was old enough and wise enough to know that this should not be happening. But I think I'd already adopted that mentality. You never say anything about this, and then you're even scared, and your abuser is like threatening and all that stuff. So as a teenager, I already knew. But then again, you're like, who are you telling? And what are people going to say? Are they going to judge you? Are they going to think it's your fault? And then you're thinking, maybe I should have fought. Maybe I should have... You know, there are a lot of thoughts that go into that. And it takes a lot to get to a place where you can actually discuss it.
And it takes a lot to also confront your abuser.
Yes.
Did you ever get to that point?
I did not. However, if this person is 2 of them when I was a teenager, if these people were alive now, I would confront them.
Right.
Unfortunately, I heard that they, you know, they're not alive anymore.
Right.
But if I had heard at the time when I've already healed and I'm in a good space, I would have. I probably would have even taken some legal action.
Right.
Yes.
But what most people do not know, and I've picked up from our conversation, is that you're also a mother.
Yes.
How is being a mother, and how, a boy or girl?
I have 2 boys.
2 boys.
Yes.
How has being a mother made you who you are today? I'm sure it's part of Jamata, right?
Yes.
Jamata, the singer, the actor, the lady behind the foundation. How has that in totality made you who you are today?
So I have a 21-year-old and 11-year-old, and I have 2 boys. But I find myself being more protective probably than I need to be, especially for boys. But I also think it's a good thing because abuse just doesn't happen to girls only. It also happens to boys. So I'm a better mother because I also don't have a big gap, especially between my firstborn and myself.
Right.
So we can openly talk about things. It's not just, you know, rape and stuff, but I can have a conversation with him and he's open enough to come and speak to me. So it's really made me a better parent. And actually, the reason why I'm alive today is because of him. Because I got to a place where, as a teenager, I really did not want to live anymore.
Right.
So he gave me a reason to stay and live another day.
Right.
Yeah.
If you were to tell Jamata, who is what, perhaps 10, 16, 29-year-old Jamata, what would you tell them today?
I would probably say it's okay. It's okay. Just be patient with yourself and love yourself, because that's one thing I didn't do when I was younger. I really, really did not love myself as much as I do now. Yeah.
And perhaps what advice would you give to other women or girls who have been in the same scenario and space that you have found yourself in? The abuse at such a young age and later on becoming a young mother at such a young age. What would you tell fellow women and girls who have found themselves in the same space?
I would say talk to someone.
Right.
And I know that's very easy and abstract to say, but a lot of times what is instilled in our, say, upbringing is what creates the obstacle. So talk to someone. Find someone that you trust. It doesn't matter if it's a maid, a neighbor, shopkeeper, anybody. Just speak to someone, because the longer you stay with it, the more it eats up in you, and you're really not growing as a person. So just talk to someone, because that person, someone is going to know what to do. You might not know what to do,
right,
but you need to speak to someone.
Right. Let's touch on your music a little bit.
Yeah.
What are you working on? Do you have something that we'll see coming out very soon from Jamata?
Yes. So
Tell me about it.
I have something I've done in the studio. I'm actually trying to do 2, so I just did 1. And my goal is to also shoot videos for the 2 songs and put them out probably not this month. It has to be next month.
Next month, October.
Yeah. Yes.
So October we could be seeing something coming from Jamata.
Yes. Yes.
All right. And acting, any plans, anything in the works?
So right now, I don't have anything I'm working on as far as acting is concerned, but I just shot a big feature movie in the States over the summer. It comes out November 2019.
Oh.
I cannot tell you what movie it is because we have non-disclosure agreements.
Right.
But, you know, people can figure it out if you want to know what movie is coming out in November 2019.
What do you attribute your success to?
I attribute it to, I can say a lot of people helped me along the way.
Right.
And so I know I didn't do it by myself. But I also know the biggest part of it was changing what I thought of myself. That really changed my narrative. Because at some point I felt like, you know, it's pointless, I'm useless. And that's the story people tell you. You know, whether it's you having a baby at a young age or whatever, people assume that that's the end of life. So I had to change the way whatever people said to me, I had to change that. And I had to believe that something was going to change.
Right.
Yes.
And you mentioned that by profession, you are a nurse.
Yes.
Do you still want to practice that side of your career?
I do want to still practice quality assurance and performance improvement, only because I feel like it's something that's needed in this country. The healthcare map has to change in this country. And sometimes maybe the resources or the education or whatever, I don't know, needs to be at the forefront. People need to know what needs to happen and what's happening in other countries as far as healthcare is concerned. I don't know why the government has not yet gotten to a place where they utilize that as something that can change the map in healthcare here. but it's something that I would like to practice given an opportunity.
Right.
Yes.
And what would you perhaps do differently, given that now that you've even seen and lived in a place that America, which is a more advanced economy as compared to Kenya, what would you do differently in this profession here in Kenya?
There's so much I would do differently, but with the basics, I'm just going to say even customer service.
Right.
I don't need to go to Pumwani, for example, as a patient, and you have people talking to you any kind of way. And it doesn't matter. It could be a nurse or a receptionist or something. Patients have rights, and people need to know that in this country. They need to practice their rights. But it also starts with regulation. What happens if I, as a facility, does not follow whatever regulations are set in place? There has to be consequences.
Okay.
And that all goes into performance improvement.
Okay, all right, good point. Perhaps your closing remarks, what your last sentiments are?
Well, I thank you for this opportunity. I'm also going to tell everybody out there, please look out for the Jamata music. Also, if you want to participate in my foundation, you can participate. I would really appreciate it.
How do we get involved?
Well,
Social media handles, if they are there, that you would share information on the foundation?
Sure, yes. So my handle is on Twitter is Jamata, JAMATAH_official.
Okay.
And that's the same also as far as Insta is concerned. I also have a Jamata page on Facebook. It's JAMATAH. You can also contact me through my website, www.jamatah.com.
Thank you so much, Jamata.
Thank you.
All right, so you've had it. Jamata says look out for her music around October, and the film that she's worked in around November 29th to be specific. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.